That's why Google named some variables A, R, PW, or CR because. Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. Younes Charfaoui is here, and in this video we are going to take a look at the Android open source project in which we will look something interesting, which is why Google named some variable with A, R, WP, and so on. Let's get started. So here I'm checking the Android code source. Here is the Git repository for that. As you can see, here you can check the Android code source, and here I'm an activity called activity thread. This is the thing responsible for launching an activity. So let's take a look at this function, perform launch activity. Here, this is Java code, right? Doesn't matter Java or Kotlin, unless we are talking about naming the variables. Here they are naming this one R. All right, so activity client record is R. So after looking through this code, I saw that they are always naming their activity record with R. So this is somehow a convention. So convention doesn't go under that rule. If you are convention, like for example, let's take that you are in a company and always you have a specific naming for such a thing, like it's an abbreviation or something. Like if you and the team agree on some abbreviation, then it's okay. But this is an open source project. Like here, if I can see what R means, like if I go here and see R intent, okay, I don't understand it. Okay, but if it is named record, activity client record, I will understand. But as I said, this is a convention. Something else which make this R justifiable is that the scope of this R. Okay, so the scope is somehow it's pretty long here. Yeah, it's more than 100 line of code, right? So this is a little bit too long because sometimes when we want to use like this small variable names like A, R, for example, the scope need to be too short. So if you go here, for example, let's check where they're creating their activities. Let me check. Here is another example, context loader or class loader, I'm sorry. Class loader is responsible for reflection and something like that. As you can see here, they are calling it CL as an abbreviation for class loader. They can call it class loader, but the scope for the CL is too short. If I press Ctrl F here, CL, it will be like this one, this one, this one, this one, and so on. I don't think there is something else. Okay, so this is justifiable. Like if you have a short scope, it makes sense to make it here. There is another example. Let me check it. So here, yeah, exactly. So here they are naming like normal activity app context, as you can see, but this is an exception because the scope is too short. For example, another example here is exceptions. As you can see, sometimes you can name your exception beautiful exception, but the scope for this exception is too short. Like it lives only here in the catch block. So when you read your code, like the whole point of doing great names in the programming in general is to make the code readable. So if I go here to go instrumentation on exception E, I can understand, okay, it's an exception. That's simple because I don't have to load all this code. Like if the scope is too big, I have to load all this code, like if the scope too big, into my head, and that would be a problem. But here the scope is too short. Like an F, you will use it E, an F, and then will not be used. So this justified. Something else, for example, let's take another example for this case. Here we have PW as print writer. As you can see, we can name it print writer, of course, that's not a problem. But as you can see, the scope of this function or the scope of this PW is too short. So always this justify what we are doing here. Here is another example for the short scope. Okay, so here we are calling final activity and we are calling this activity as an A. Why we are doing that? Because always the scope is too short. As you can see A, then we are using it here. Then we are returning it here. I think we are passing it also somewhere here. I don't know. Yeah, we are not. As you can see, the reason why naming it A in this case is pretty simple. The scope of this A is too short. If like, for example, if you declare a member variable of class, you shouldn't name it A because it will be used in many places. So maybe we will lose what we mean by A. And here we won't be using it. We won't be losing it. I'm sorry, because you see A, it's not null. It's activity. Okay, because it's fresh in our mind and so on. So that's why Google named some variables A, R, PW, or CR because the scope matters and also some convention that the team agree upon. So that's it for this video. I hope that was useful in terms when to use something like that. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next videos. Salam alaikum.